02 hours. The Philippine Sea. The night was still, the ocean was black, and the U.S. Navy carrier strike group, centered around the USS Theodore Roosevelt, cut through the waves under a moonless sky. But the stillness was an illusion. Deep beneath the surface, something moved, something the U.S. Navy had never seen before at this scale. Aboard the U.S. destroyer USS Spruance, the sonar operator jolted upright. Multiple contacts, very small, low-frequency signatures. The officer of the deck frowned. How many? The sonar operator hesitated. Dozens. Dozens. That made no sense. The ocean doesn't send dozens of tiny metallic echoes unless someone put them there. The officer leaned in. What are we dealing with? The sonar tech swallowed hard. Sir, these look like unmanned underwater drones. The room went cold. The source, unknown. The Spruance captain hurried into CIC. Talk to me. The sonar team replayed the echo stream. Small, fast, synchronous. Not fish, not debris, not waves. Machines. The intel officer added, these signatures are unlike any US or allied drone platform, but they match characteristics rumored in Chinese naval development. Keyword, rumored. Many accounts of China's underwater drone program remain unverified, hidden behind secrecy. Still, the signatures fit. Someone was deploying underwater drones beneath a US carrier group, and they were getting closer. The Chinese submarine, dark and silent, 0214 hours. Far below the surface, a Chinese Type 093B nuclear attack submarine drifted silently, its hull dark, its acoustic footprint nearly non-existent. Inside, the sub's drone control operators monitored a glowing green screen showing dozens of underwater drones fanning out. If the unconfirmed OSINT leaks are accurate, this submarine was testing a new weapon, the Hai-Gi swarm system, a networked school of autonomous drones capable of shadowing enemy ships, scanning sonar signatures, overwhelming defenses, and potentially delivering small charges to cripple propulsion systems. None of this is confirmed by official sources, but the behavior of the drone swarm matched every unverified detail. The Chinese captain murmured, "Begin phase 2," and the swarm changed formation. Aboard the carrier, something is wrong. 0217 hours. On the flight deck of the USS Theodore Roosevelt, crew members prepared for the first pre-dawn launches. Below decks, the ship's combat systems officer received an alert from the Spruance. Unknown underwater drone contacts, multiple vectors. The officer raised an eyebrow. Any hostile moves? Not yet, but they're approaching the carrier's defensive perimeter. The captain of the Roosevelt was briefed within minutes. He frowned deeply. Chinese drones? Here, the intel officer answered, "Unconfirmed, sir, but highly likely." The admiral walked onto the bridge. "Wake the ASW teams. Something's coming." The drones reveal their purpose. 0224 hours. Underwater, the swarm suddenly changed formation, moving into a loose circle around the lead destroyer. The sonar operator aboard the Spruance whispered, "Sir, they're boxing us in." The captain's jaw tightened. "Can we classify them as hostile?" The intel officer replied, "They haven't attacked, but this behavior is coordinated." The word he didn't say, strategic. Then, ping. A sharp acoustic signal rang out. Ping, ping. The drones began active sonar scanning the Spruance's hull, propulsion, and defenses. The sonar operator gasped, "They're mapping us." Mapping meant targeting. Targeting meant escalation. Unverified leak, the drone's second function. Several OSINT accounts, none confirmed, had recently discussed China testing small drones capable of attaching magnetic sensors to enemy hulls, essentially underwater tracking beacons. Whether this swarm carried such devices was unknown, but the way they circled the Spruance, moving closer in precise synchronization, it felt like the rumor was more than rumor. The US responds. The Spruance captain gave the order, "Deploy AN/SLQ-62 counter-drone sonar pulse." A powerful underwater acoustic blast rippled outward. Several drones veered off. A few sank, but most adapted. They shifted frequency, reorganized, and closed in again. The sonar officer's face drained of color. They're evolving their pattern. They're algorithmic. The captain muttered, "That's not a swarm. That's a wolf pack." The submarine makes its move. 0229 hours. Deep below, the Chinese submarine adjusted position. The captain issued a command to his drone control officer. Advance phase 3. The drones split into two groups. One ring tightened around the Spruance. The other group moved toward the USS Roosevelt, the carrier. A direct provocation. A senior US officer aboard the Roosevelt spoke into the secure circuit. "Those drones hit my hull, and we treat it as an attack. The first touch. 0232 hours. hours. The sonar operator aboard the Spruance shouted, "Contact, multiple impacts." A series of faint metallic taps sounded along the destroyer's hull. The crew froze. The intel officer slammed a fist on the table. "They're attaching something." The captain's voice went ice cold. "That's it. Enough. The order is given." He grabbed the comms handset. "Roosevelt Actual, this is Spruance. We have confirmed foreign drone contact with hull. Permission to respond with force." A long pause. Then the admiral replied, "Spruance, permission granted. Neutralize the swarm." The captain didn't hesitate. "Load ASW package. Prepare to fire." But beneath them, the Chinese submarine noticed and responded first. Sonar erupted. "New contact. Torpedo tube doors opening. Chinese submarine is..." A chilling alarm screamed across the Spruance. "They're launching something." A plume of bubbles erupted underwater. A new signature appeared. Fast, compact, deadly. It wasn't a torpedo. It was something smaller, something new, and it was headed straight for the carrier. 0233 hours, Philippine Sea. The sonar operator froze. "This new contact, it's small, fast, and it's homing in on the Roosevelt." The admiral aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt leaned forward. "That's not a torpedo signature." The intel officer agreed. "No propeller, high-frequency pulses. It's some kind of precision drone warhead." An unverified OSINT claim circulating weeks earlier described China testing micro-torpedo drones capable of disabling a ship's rudder or propulsion with a small directed charge. If that rumor was true, this was one of them, and it was heading straight for a U.S. aircraft carrier. The Roosevelt goes to General Quarters. General Quarters. General Quarters. Red lights flashed across the carrier. Hatches slammed shut. Pilots scrambled. Anti-submarine teams rushed to stations. The admiral shouted, "Get the Seahawks airborne now." Within 90 seconds, two MH-60R Seahawks launched from the carrier deck, dipping low toward the swarm-infested waters. Their dipping sonars splashed into the sea. "Contact confirmed," one pilot announced. "Unknown drone is approaching the carrier's starboard flank." The swarm turns hostile. Meanwhile, around the USS Spruance, the drone swarm intensified. Metallic taps turned into full impacts. The intel officer shouted, "They're attaching magnetic sensors. They're mapping our hull in real time." The captain had heard enough. "Deploy anti-drone charges. Rip the swarm apart." The Spruance activated its AN/SLQ-62 pulse array, unleashing a massive low-frequency shockwave. The ocean boiled with turbulence. Tiny metallic fragments floated to the surface. "Direct hits," sonar reported. "Multiple drones destroyed, but not all, because the Chinese submarine was still in play." The Chinese sub reveals its hand. Deep below, the Type 093B submarine tracked the U.S. destroyer and carrier. Unverified Chinese naval leaks described the 093B as having a dual-bay drone launcher capable of firing additional swarms when needed. If that was accurate, the U.S. fleet was in for trouble, and the sonar confirmed it. New contacts. A second wave of drones launching from depth. The captain's eyes narrowed. "They're doubling down." The U.S. command decides to end it, but the Chinese submarine had crossed too many lines. The admiral made the decision. "All ships, prepare for undersea engagement. We neutralize that submarine." The USS Spruance captain acknowledged, "Aye, sir," initiating counter-submarine weapons. He turned to his weapons officer. "Load the Mark 48, active mode." The intel officer added, "Sir, if we fire, China will call it an act of war." The captain replied, "They launched the first torpedo. They swarmed our hull. They tried to hit the carrier." He paused. "This is already an act of war. The Chinese sub makes a fatal mistake." 0242 hours. Sonar aboard the Spruance detected something unusual. The Chinese submarine shifted upward, not toward the surface, but toward the carrier strike group. The intel officer whispered, "They're using the carrier's acoustic shadow to hide." A brilliant tactic, but one flaw. By moving that close to the U.S. fleet, the submarine had entered a triple-layered kill zone. Carrier hull sonar destroyer, towed arrays, Seahawk sonobuoys. The admiral realized it instantly. "They've exposed themselves." He pointed sharply. "Spruance, take the shot." The Mark 48 fires 0244 hours. The destroyer's torpedo tube roared. A Mark 48 ADCAP surged into the deep. Sonar confirmed. Weapon running hot, straight and true. The Chinese submarine panicked. Its captain shouted orders. The sub dove, then ascended, then turned sharply. The torpedo followed every move. Impact in 14 seconds, sonar reported. The Chinese submarine launched countermeasures, metal chaff, acoustic decoys, bubble screens, but the Mark 48 sliced through them all. The sonar operator shouted, "Contact! Contact! It's hit!" A catastrophic rumble echoed across the deep. The Chinese submarine's signature flickered, broke apart, and vanished. The underwater threat was neutralized. The swarm went dead. Silence filled the bridge of every US ship. The aftermath, 0250 hours. The admiral delivered the final order. All vessels, resume course. Maintain ASW alertness level 3. China will not like this. The intel officer spoke quietly. "Sir, Beijing is going to respond." The admiral nodded. "They started this. We ended it." He stared into the black ocean. But the next round might not happen underwater.